Okay, how's it going? It's another nice morning, a little bit chilly, but I am going to class, and what good time, as good a time as any to record and talk about movies. So, movies that I watched in the last week. If you watched the other one I put up yesterday, listened to, I basically talked about El Camino, Breaking Bad movie, and Gemini Man. Both were fine movies. They were okay. Gemini Man was a little bit of a mixed bag and a mess, but it had some really great action scenes. So, if anything, you just, like, in a year's time or whenever they go up on YouTube, just watch those scenes, you know? They're really cool. But not really that worth it. El Camino, again, if you're a fan of Breaking Bad, go watch it. If you'll probably get a kick out of it. But if you haven't seen it, it's a Netflix original, so and all of Breaking Bad is on Netflix. So watch all of Breaking Bad and then watch it. Even if you watch all of Breaking Bad, I don't think watching the movie is necessary. It's not like an integral part of the story or anything. It is exactly what happens right after the finale, but I don't think it's necessary, you know? The other movie I watched is called Boogie Nights. This movie is amazing. Just, without a doubt, amazing. I just loved so much of it. A lot of it. I don't think there was any part of it that I disliked. There were definitely scenes that I disliked, but they were still good scenes. It wasn't like... It was a dislike as in it was kind of like an unhappy kind of scene, you know? So, to depict that, that only means that the movie depicted it well and accurately, based on the subject matter, because it's not glorifying the sex or the drug use or all of that stuff, and in the porn business and around. It's very much like Wolf of Wall Street in that regard, but Wolf of Wall Street had a lot of fun with the drug use and had some insanely funny comedic moments in that movie. But this movie largely focuses on the consequences when it comes to that, and living that kind of life, and what that drives people to do in and around the porn business. It's really interesting to see, because obviously I wasn't alive during that time, so I honestly can't say if it's an accurate portrayal of the time period, which is the late 70s, early 80s, where I guess porn was booming, because nowadays you have Pornhub and a bunch of other porn sites on the internet, and free porn is just kind of like, the internet and porn has become not synonymous, but if you think about the internet, if you don't think about porn within if porn doesn't come to mind when somebody talks about the internet, maybe it's just me, but I think that just over sexualization and female wow, I cannot speak this morning. objectification. My goodness. That's not it's not a good start to this talk. But basically, all of those things they say in advertising and marketing, sex sells. So why do they have a bunch of photoshopped, scantily clad women on magazines? A lot of magazines, like Sports Illustrated, they started doing that to sell more magazines to guys because they care about sports. And I don't give a rat's ass about sports, I'll be honest. Maybe I'll watch tennis or the World Cup or maybe the Olympics. But you know what was crazy? There was like an Olympics, and like last year, I think, and I didn't even watch it. I didn't even know that it had happened. So, goes to show how little I care about sports. And basically, Sports Illustrated was for guys who liked sports and what could entice them to get them to buy or look at all these magazines, all these beautiful women on the covers. And obviously you have like Playboy and a bunch of other actually like pornographic magazines. But that doesn't mean that any of the others stopped using the same tactics to market their own products, and it's really weird because you only see that with women. Like, you won't see a really hot guy or like an unbelievably photoshopped hot guy on Sports Illustrated or whatever. Like, maybe there definitely are gay porn magazines. I don't know what they're called or anything, but I'm sure that they have really fit men on there. And like, I guess I'm overlooking the fact that there are like Men's Health and People magazine or all these other magazines. I don't know why I'm talking about magazines in the first place. I guess they're also kind of, a lot of print media like that is dying anyways, and they're all shifting online. But it's just, it used to be a big thing. Now it's not so much anymore, but you still find them at the checkout aisle at the grocery store. But I wonder who actually buys those. And if they do they actually read them? Or is it just to look at these pictures and look at these tabloid headlines or whatever? And this is where I noticed that I've kind of started to ramble on. Paul Thomas Anderson and his direction of Boogie Nights is nothing short of masterful work. He, just one scene from pretty early on in the movie kind of shows you the stakes and the consequences of this line of work and this world, and how it just shows how brutally realistic life can be. And it shows just nothing in this movie requires you to suspend your disbelief, because everything is believable, and everything I've talked about verisimilitude, and it's, if you're unfamiliar, it's basically when you cannot really distinguish from whatever you're watching in the film and from how things would actually play out in real life. So the truth of the matter is, they had a lot of underage girls doing porn, and I'm sure there are a lot that still happens to this day, but I'm also sure it's a lot better regulated. But also, I don't know. I don't make porn, so I'm not in that business. I couldn't tell you accurately, but throughout the years, there's a lot more. I'm just willing to accept that society has gotten better in the last 40 years. Anyways, there's probably a lot more. I've seen a lot more documentaries about this, a lot more activism, women's rights, all these things. So I'm sure that the porn industry is a lot more well-regulated and is not as bad with rampant child abuse and things like that as it was in the 70s or any time in the past. So, one scene, and I'll explain it to you. I don't think it's really not a spoiler because it doesn't really have to do with any of our main characters. But it's just so brutal, and it was honestly really hard. It was really hard to watch this scene. But basically, walk into a room, and there's a girl laying on a guy's lap and bleeding from her nose, just profusely bleeding, and it's because of cocaine. They've been doing cocaine, and she is overdosed. And just seeing, like, her pretty much lifeless body with the bloody nose, just laying on this guy's lap, and he's just, like, crying. And then what even kills me, what's like the knife, because it's already like a knife in your gut or whatever, and what twists the knife, not 30 seconds later or whenever, this guy starts crying, and then he just starts screaming and swearing, and he's like, this is the second time that this has happened this week. This is the second girl that is OD'd in my presence on cocaine in this week. And it hits you like a ton of bricks or like a train or whatever you want to think. What in the hell? You know, it was that moment, and like this movie is full of a lot of scenes like that are just brutally honest and real. And I just, I don't know, I have to give Paul Thomas Anderson credit for making this a fun movie, a funny movie, and also not shying away from the fact that this is also a really terrible business at the same time. So you go through a roller coaster of emotions through this movie, and it's an epic. Really, really wonderful stuff. Great music choices. Really fun dance sequence in there. Really good montages. Just all around, he uses lots of different filmmaking techniques, and you can tell that he, I think this was one of his first movies, if not his directorial debut. It really garnered a lot of praise, a lot of acclaim for him. And it's really good, and it's well deserved. So you should definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. And this is from 1997. Mark Wahlberg, William H. Macy, Julianne Moore. It's funny, both Julianne Moore and William H. Macy have been in Jurassic Park movies. I don't know, just random fact. Really, really good movie. And if you haven't seen Magnolia, that's another really good Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Other ones that I honestly like pretty much all of his movies that I've seen, except for Punch Drunk Love. Punch Drunk Love is a good movie, and I kind of like it, but it also just, Adam Sandler's character in that movie just throws me off, and he unsettles me in this really weird way. So I just don't like his character in that movie at all, really. I just find him kind of annoying, and I don't like him, so I don't find the need to root for him. So I don't really care about that movie as much. But, that's just my opinion. To each his own. You may love that. You might completely love that movie. I really like all of his other movies. I think I'm almost halfway through Phantom Thread. It's a slow burn, but it's a pretty interesting movie. I really like The Master. The Master with Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman is in Magnolia. He's in Punch Drunk Love. He's in Boogie Nights. But he has a really good role in The Master, and so does Joaquin Phoenix. I think Joaquin Phoenix, that was his first time working with Paul Thomas Anderson in The Master, and wow. Just that movie. That's another movie that you have to see. It's about this depressed, lonely sailor, or maybe he was in the Navy in the war, but he comes out and he basically just works, and he's trying to find a purpose in his life. And then he meets Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and he's basically a Scientologist, and the movie's kind of about a cult, but it's not like a horror movie cult movie. It's like how a man can succumb to this ideology or this group, this way of thinking, and let it change his life. And honestly, for the most part, it does good things for him. But the movie's a little bit more broader in scope. It also focuses on how the cult and this cult leader, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, his impact on his family and all the members of the cult and the kind of power he has. So it's really about the cult member and the cult leader and their dynamic relationship, friendship. Really, really well done movie. Amazingly, the cinematography in The Master has got to be one of the most beautiful movies I have ever seen. And it probably will be one of the most beautiful movies you will ever see. I don't think that Roger Deakins did the cinematography for that. And all of my favorite movies with my favorite cinematography have basically all been Roger Deakins movies. He just has an eye that I think is immaculate and can't be topped. It's really beautiful in almost any of the movies Roger Deakins makes. He won his Oscar for Blade Runner 2049. If you've seen Blade Runner 2049, that is an amazing movie. Just utterly breathtaking visually, but also in terms of story. It's a little slow, but I think if you pay attention and if you really focus on the movie and you think about it, it's really rewarding for you as an audience member. Other ones he's done, he's frequently collaborated with the Coen brothers. I love Fargo, No Country for Old Men. Both of those movies are really, really well shot. And I think Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Just a lot of really, really good movies. And his the way he shoots conversations specifically it makes it a lot more personal, and it makes it easier to attach yourself and really put yourself in the conversation. So, like, visually putting yourself in the conversation so that you, through proxy, feel as if you're having the conversation with the characters who are actually having the conversation themselves. So it's just a way, so it attaches you to these characters without even, it kind of inherently attaches you to these characters just through camera positioning and camera framing. So I think that's really brilliant, and it's really cool. Went on tangents, but yeah, Boogie Nights, great movie, definitely check it out. I will want to record possibly another recording before I do another podcast with Talal next week, I think. Look forward to that. The next movie I want to see is Jojo Rabbit. I also really want to see Zombieland Double Tap. Both of those are highly, highly anticipated, and both of those have been reviewed to be really good. So I'm looking forward to them. And what is it? I also watched some like scary movies for Halloween, so that I can come up with like a list of, I don't know how many movies, maybe 10 of good horror movies to watch, because, you know, it's time to get spooked. But when I record with Talal, I really want to do a James Bond episode, because it'll be the hashtag 007 episode, hashtag episode 007. So, want to do James Bond, you know, talk about the new one that's coming out next April, talk about our favorite James Bond movies, and possibly, like, and based on what we've seen, rank them. Granted, I honestly haven't seen very many James Bond movies. I've seen the Daniel Craig ones. I've seen Goldfinger, the Sean Connery one. Moonraker, I think that's Roger Moore. And Pierce Brosnan, that's right. Die Another Day, GoldenEye, World Is Not Enough. Is Tomorrow Never Dies one of Pierce Brosnan's? I don't know why I'm asking that. You can't answer. But I think Tomorrow Never Dies. I've seen the Daniel Craig ones and the Pierce Brosnan ones, but I haven't seen like all of Timothy Dalton's ones. I know that License to Kill is a really good one. I also haven't seen, oh man, there's like Roger Moore, and then there's one other James Bond, or there's some other James Bonds that I'm kind of forgetting. But, you know, it's not that early, so I don't have an excuse. I just haven't really looked them all up in a long time. Anyways, that's the plan for the future recordings. Look forward to those. I'll keep you posted, you know, keep doing some reviews. I'm watching a really great horror movie right now called Lake Mungo, based on YouTuber Chris Stuckman's recommendation. I was really intrigued by his review. He didn't really say much about it because it's a really underrated movie and not that many people have seen it. And it's free on Amazon Prime, so whoever's interested in something like that, go check it out. I'm about 40 minutes into it, and it's really good. It's really unsettling, really creepy. It just makes me want to just like scream and shake the screen, like, you know. It's just wow. so far, you know? And who knows how much better it'll get. So, until next time, hope you guys have a great day. I'm about to go to class, and I'm about to, after that, get on a flight to LA for the next couple days. So, till next time, peace.